Rob G, there is big news about Ezekiel Elliott. Can you share it with us?
Yeah, so Zeke took that nasty shot to his knee on Sunday against the Detroit Lions. He finished the game and actually scored a touchdown afterwards.
That was a nasty shot.
Earlier on Wednesday, friend of the show, Clarence Hill Jr. from the Detroit, I think that's right, the Dallas Morning News, excuse me, reported that his sources are telling him that Zeke will be out at least this week, possibly even next week, while he's dealing with the knee injury. Zeke, apparently that's news to him because he's telling reporters that yes, his knee is hurt. He does have a sprained knee, which, if you want to be specific, there is a micro tear in his knee. But he is hoping to still play on Sunday.
Okay. So I was under the impression that it was more dire than that. So even Clarence, like obviously Zeke wants to play this week. My guess is he won't. But even Clarence is not reporting that he's like, the season is in jeopardy for Zeke. Correct, Rob G?
That is correct.
Okay. So, yeah, all right. So, Rob, I thought his season was potentially in danger. Yeah, and I tell you what, had that been the case, I would have thought that their chance to get into the Super Bowl were very slim or non-existent if they lose Zeke. And I get it. He's not the same old Zeke. But he is their running game. We've talked about because Dak, I don't think Dak is that guy to just put them on his shoulders and carry them to the Super Bowl. He's not that Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes class of player, in my view. And so I think they need that run game to be strong. And I get it. It's not the Browns run game or, tops in the league. But Zeke, while some may like Tony Pollard better, he's certainly more of a big play guy. Zeke eats up those tough yards. I mean, he gets them those tough. He's averaging 4 yards a carry. He softens up the defense a little bit for Pollard, in my view, to get some of those big plays. And so I think without him for the long haul, they would be in trouble. But it's not going to be for the long haul, Rob. They got one game this week. This is why I think they sit him out. One, it just makes sense. But they've got, who they playing, Chicago? Yeah, Chicago. And then they've got a bye. So you can get Zeke 3 weeks of rest. And, hopefully he'll be back November 13th against Green Bay. So not as dire as I first was under the impression that this was.
Yeah, and you have more confidence and faith in Ezekiel Elliott. I kind of passed on him the last couple of years, and he's playing fine. I mean, but he's not nearly the force that he was when he came into the NFL and when he made Dallas. He's just not that player anymore, and there are more misses than hits. Chris, I get it. He's the tougher runner. He just doesn't break a lot of plays anymore. Tony Pollard, I think, has been held back, to be honest, because of Ezekiel Elliott, because of they have so much money vested in him and they got to kind of justify it so they don't allow him. But I would love to have seen if they let Tony Pollard be the main guy more so, but they can't do it and because of the contract. And I think that's where you hamper a team. Last year he averaged 5.5 yards a carry, 719 yards, 130 carries, Chris. He's averaging 5.6 yards a carry this year. He's had a nice career since getting to the Cowboys. And I just wonder if you gave him a little bit more, could he be better? And they're not, unless you're cutting a Zeke, there's no way you're not going to play him because he's making too much money. So I think they can win with Tony Pollard as the running back with most of the snaps. I don't disagree with you that, Ezekiel's turned into a different kind of runner, the harder yards and stuff like that, Chris, and the shorter yard situations. You saw he had
2 touchdowns last weekend.
He can do that.
Short yard. Yep.
But he's not a playmaker anymore. That guy used to be a playmaker where he could break plays and change a football game, and you used to have to focus in on Ezekiel Elliott. And that's why everybody was talking about at that time. That's why he got the big contract, because he was that player, Chris. He was the best running back in the league. Right. He hasn't been the best running back in the league for years. So I think the Cowboys can win without him. I don't think he's as important as he once was.
Well, I don't disagree with a lot of what you said. Certainly he's not what he used to be. And what they've said, because I've looked at Pollard and Zeke and said, man, they got to get Pollard more carries. I mean, Zeke's got about 30-something more carries than him right now.
You think it's money, though, Chris? Let me just ask you.
I don't think it's just money.
Okay.
I think from what I've heard them say over the years is that they don't seem to have confidence that Pollard could either stay healthy, take the pounding, running in between the tackles, 20 times a game. He's 6 feet 209, so let's call him 210. I mean, that's not tiny. So here's what I'll say about what you said, Rob. I actually would like to see Pollard get a full dose, like maybe we'll see it Sunday, right? If I'd like to see Pollard get 20 carries,
that's what he could do,
this
right?
Game. Yeah, because the way they got a nice tandem. You're right, Zeke doesn't break plays anymore. There's several where you saw it looks like, man, he could have broken it, but just a step too slow to get through the hole all the way. And then Pollard's the guy that comes in there and does it. But I'd like to see, Pollard get a steady dose and be the only guy for the most part. And maybe we'll see that Sunday. So I'm with you there. But I just wonder, mainly because of the stuff they've said, could he take that pounding week in, week out?
Yeah. And stats, Chris, he's never had more than 130 carries in either the NFL or college. So
he did a lot of receiving. Right. Was a receiver in college, yeah.
Right. So he's never had that. But maybe that's a part of it too, is he's not that beat up or battered from his body as a running back. And maybe he hasn't taken some guy by the time you get into the NFL, you've already been beat up in college, right? Ezekiel Elliott. And guys like that, you've already been a running back. So I don't know. I just think Pollard is a better running back. I think he can do more if they're given the opportunity. And I would love to see it happen. But I don't know what the Ezekiel contract calls for or how much more Chris is guaranteed or what they have to do.
Well, Rob G, this year, is this the last guaranteed year?
It?
Yeah, they can get out of it after this year. So look. If they sit him out, like let's say they sit him out a few games, Rob, and Pollard really does his thing, then you could
next year.
Absolutely. And it would be a switch, I think, going forward this year, where Pollard would become your main guy, and Zeke would still, they probably split close to 50-50, but maybe Pollard gets the lion's share of the carries. I've been kind of wanting to see that anyway, because you read off the stats as far as yards per carry.
Yep.
He obviously is the bigger play guy. And so, but I've got to be honest, Zeke has shown me, even though he's not what he used to be, he's shown me more this year than I expected to see from him, Rob.
Okay. No, that's
so you do think if he was hurt, like let's say he was out for the year, you still think their chances would be as good as before?
Yeah, because I think Pollard is really good and just needs an opportunity. I think he could carry the load, and obviously it's all running, but I think he could get those yards in those situations as well. So I don't think that they would lose that much. I'm not saying obviously you like to have another guy there,
right? But
then you have to elevate somebody else who's on the team. You know what I mean? As the backup, you don't know what that guy could do in fresh legs.
But look, you make a good point about Pollard. I mean, maybe he can be that full-time bell cow.
Because every time they give him a chance, Chris, you know what I mean? In the role, look at his numbers. Very consistent. Like
Zeke is that a part of Zeke's thinking too? Like, look, I don't want this dude.
Yeah,
I know they're friendly, I'm sure. But yeah, like he might show out, and then I'm coming back as a second stringer in a year where they can get rid of me after this season anyway.
No, Chris, that has to be a part of his thinking. Because that's real. That's football.
Right.